confident was commonplace.
What about this game today?
We're going to get that dub.
What do you think about the game today?
Oh, we're definitely winning.
Yeah, it's a definite dub. It's a definite dub.
But who would foresee the fascinating history that would unfold just a few hours later?
I'm excited. I hope Jaden plays, though, obviously, but I'm excited regardless.
Yes, Jaden's play. And yes, Jaden delivered.
Just throw the ball up, give my guys a shot.
This time in storybook fashion.
I just heard people screaming and our sideline rushing the field. So that's how I knew.
We got a team full of fighters. I'm not surprised at all by this happening because I know we don't give up to the final whistle.
What to make of Jaden's latest trick?
I'm excited because, that's kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
And plenty of treats as we get ready for the Giants on this Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus.
What's up? Many years ago, my parents told me these words of wisdom true. If you work hard and believe in yourself, good things will come to you. Washington found that out on Sunday. Lead the whole game, come back, get behind, and have to make a last-minute play. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? They made that play, and they're starting to show us something right now. We've been looking for this team, and let's be realistic. The last 4 or 5 years, we haven't done nothing but moan and groan and talk about what should have been. This is Snyder's team. This is this, and this is that. One thing we can say, we question a lot of the moves they made early this year, but right now they seem to be paying off. But at this game, we knew that the receivers were going to be big because they was honoring one of our own. G-Man, what's happening, man? G, you got to tell us a little bit about it for the rest of it. Whenever we have Gary Clark on, we have to introduce everybody later. We got Donna, we got the Beat Mitch, we got the Big Solomon, we got Alex. But the one thing we got is the G-Man. G-Man, I understand you were the legend of the game, and your receivers didn't do bad either.
No, it was a good game. The receivers, they played their part. Offense. This is the first time I'm saying that the defense actually won that football game. I have to say
that. Say that again. Let's get the tape out.
They won that football game. They did. You hold a team to 15 points, you're supposed to win the football game. But the receivers showed up when they had to show up, especially the last play of the game, which I've never seen that stadium react that way since it's been there, quite honestly. I've never seen that stadium react the way that it reacted. I've never reacted the way I reacted after that touchdown catch. It was just it's something you can build upon now. I'm excited for the team. We'll be 80,000 strong the next time they play there again. So, it's great to have a victory, even no matter how you get it. I'm so glad that we won ugly. I'm so glad that we won.
That's the thing about it. But Tito, get me some tissue. But I tell you what, I'm laughing now, but I wasn't laughing in the end when we thought it was going to go down. But the one thing about it, and G-Man, I'm glad you said it, and I'm going to open this up right now. Even not the defensive segment. They played well, but they can play better. But you know what I see with this defensive team, and when we get to that, we'll look at it. They don't play for spectacular plays. They play for getting the job done. But let's go back to this offense. Donna, as you take a look at this offense, is growing each and every week. They're talking about the young men, but as I told Gary, the receivers are running. When you got big, when you're Mr. Robinson's neighborhood, and you got a plethora of backs, 3 different backs to do something different and better. And then you got an offensive line that's growing each and every week. Now, we can't call them the Hogs, but we'll call them the Piglets or something. because this team is growing. But at the same time, talk to me about it, Donna. You are seeing this growth and you're hearing this when you talk to them.
Hey, Tony, you know what? Something funny. When I was out in the parking lot before the game, before I went in, it was this fan. And you know what? He had this piglet or pig face on, dragging a bear by a chain. So that was quite fitting for this game. But, you know, Norm Brown, I almost laughed because he was dragging the bear along. And I said, oh, man, I hope they win because that would be quite fitting. But Tony, when you look at talk about Noah Brown, who got the winning catch for them to win, he said it best, and Coach Quinn also echoed that. He said that this team are fighters, and they fought to the bitter end because they never saw themselves not winning this game. And you think about them being in the red zone, this game should have been put away from probably the first half because they got down there at least 3 times in the first half within the 30-yard line and couldn't punch it in because of penalties. As far as drop passes, it was almost like Coach Quinn said, self-inflicted wounds, almost back to that Giant game when they had all field goals to win that game, Tony. But they found a way still to win because, good thing Jayden Daniels came back. But they had a running game that worked also. 400 and some yards. When do you hear of that with this Commanders offense to put up that many yards on the board? And, as far as the running game, I think it had 200 and some yards too. So when you look at the offense, they moved the ball, just couldn't punch it in when it counted most, Tony. But before I let you bring in Brian and all the rest of them to really dissect this game, let's go to the locker room and hear from the winning locker room.
You're feeling it towards the end. We saw. What was it like playing through that injury and being able to make it to the finish line?
It's tough, obviously. Just the area and stuff when you got to throw the ball, got to rotate, stuff like that. You can still feel it, but at the end of the day, man, I started the game. And, I wanted to finish it, so there was nothing else that was going to take me out that game. Defense played a hell of a game. Defense is the reason why we won the game. Just getting the stops and giving us the ball back. We got to clean some stuff up on the offensive side.
It was pandemonium out there. Like, that was real pandemonium. I couldn't breathe, but it was fun. And to have wins like this, we've had big wins, we've had gritty wins, and to continue to move forward and add another chapter to our book this year is unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to looking at the film because we got a lot to clean up offensively. Defense did a great job tonight, got us a turnover, just held strong against a good team. When you need it, got to have it most. Like DQ was preaching all week about winning moments, and nothing is more poignant and nothing is more clear than what happened at the end of that game.
We don't want to, struggle, in the red zone like that. But just the belief in our team and our brotherhood in our team, like we just knew if we get Jayden some time on the last play that he can get it there, and our wideouts, tight ends did a great job getting to a spot, and then tips and overthrows.
Our preparation that we put in throughout the week, and we never kind of hung our heads, and so we faced a little adversity today, but we just showed our fight and just kept going to the finish.
The emotions in this locker room after the game.
Oh man, it's crazy. Just a lot of excitement, just relief from, crazy back and forth game. Like you said, a lot of emotions in that game for all 60 minutes, and it took all 60 minutes to get it done. So we just came in just excited and glad to be on the winning side of it.
Whatever the situation is, like how I said before, like obviously you don't want to, struggle in the red zone like we did, and you want to have touchdowns versus field goals. But the biggest part about our team right now is just our brotherhood and the belief we have in one another, and just the confidence we have once we go on the field. And obviously we want to, keep leveling up each and every week. And some things might not go your way, but the belief in our offense, we never had a doubt that we can get it done. And obviously in that fashion, like, it's great to be a part of. That's an amazing feeling. And Jay did a great job getting it there, and Zach did a great job getting the tip on the ball, and Noah had a little bread basket right there.
Hey, Tony, in basketball at the NCAA, at the end, the team wins. That one shining moment, the song that we all like to hear. Well, guess what? This was one shining moment.
Yeah, but you got to get over it. You don't mess around and let it get in your eyes and you can't see. You got to get ready for the next week. You
Hey, we enjoyed this one-shotted moment, Tony.
Oh no, see that's what happened before. We must right get too happy about these games. Alex, what I like that offensive line. We said it a few weeks ago. They're going to have to run that ball, and they seem to be doing a pretty good job with it.
Tony, you're right. And from week one throughout the season so far, we're almost halfway through, they've been able to run the football. And we've talked about how that's got to help any quarterback, certainly rookie quarterbacks, certainly even a guy as great and dynamic and incredible as Jaden Daniels. The run game helps. And when you can power the football, I saw Doc Walker tweeting during the game while I'm watching on TV, pound the ball, run the ball. That is demoralizing for the other team. I will say the Chicago Bears ran the ball pretty well too. So it came down to that thing at the end. And Tony, I know we're not supposed to celebrate this. It's getting later on in the week here. But my goodness, it's still unreal that happened. We talked before the show, Gary talked about, we see other teams do this. Other teams have done it against Washington. I go back to Clint Longley in '74 because I was getting up there. This happened for this team in that stadium on that day. It's nuts. Back to your question. If they can keep running the ball, good things happen. But don't expect that every week. Okay, running the ball is good, but don't expect a Hail Mary to win the game every week.
I don't expect the Hail Mary to win the game, but I expect them to run the ball every week. And when they can run the ball, they can get anything done. And Mitch, you know that when you played it, this team seems to have three things. They got three different kind of running backs, and all of them are productive. And when you have that offensive line blocking, you got something going on.
Well, I think ultimately it's all about the offensive line. You know, no matter what you want to do, pass the ball, run the ball, you have the guys out front with Tyler Biadasz right there in the middle, just leading the way. You also have Alec Reddy, who is a mauler. Cosme, a guy who's been good since he's been drafted. Wally got hurt, came back into the game. And you look at my big man, Cornelius Lucas, where people have been talking about him, but you know what? You played 10 years in this league at left tackle, you're good. And those guys are coming together now and starting to do some great things. But ultimately for me, this team believes in itself. You know, you can win. You can become a team that can win only one way. They've shown I can blow you out. We can get into a gritty contest and do it too. But yesterday they showed we can take it to another level and win in a totally different way. And I think when you do that, you start to get that confidence and you never, ever believe that you're going to lose the game. And I love that about this football team.
And Big Low, you've been around even when you were a little kid and you saw this. Where did you see this team grow, and what position of this team is pulling the rest of them with it?
I actually saw this team grow, and I saw everybody grow as far as the belief. Mitch, Donna, they could all tell you last year around this time, I would see people in the media packing. This time we all sat there until the last minute to see what was going on. So I see the belief in each other, brotherhood. Like Tyler, like Badass said, I see brotherhood, and I see brotherhood within the family of the organization. So this was a big win for the DMV area, period.
Hey, Tony, it does help also that this team, and Brian and everybody has echoed, is that they believe in this quarterback. This all week long, he went through the progressions to see if he was going to be able to go. And he even said a little bit in his interview is that by the time the end of the game came for him to throw that 52-yard bomb to Noah Brown, his ribs was hurting a little bit because he had been knocked around. But the offensive line you talked about doing a good job. That was one area that we were like, is that this team going to hold up offensive line? And they did just that. But I think when you look up what Jaden Daniels, and we didn't even talk about Cliff Kingsbury, as far as him dialing up that offensive scheme week in and week out, knowing that the Chicago was coming at him because Montez Sweat, I think the first couple of plays, he comes in for a sack and then he goes out. He's hurt. They nicked up a little bit. But I think that the offensive line has to get a lot of credit too, because when you look at that defense, as far as Chicago's defense, one of the best, they're one of the top ones in the red zone. So we kind of like wonder, why did the Commanders not be able to basically move the ball in the red zone, where they got one of the top red zone defense. I think it's like third in stopping, and they show that a lot more.
Well, if we take a look at it, we are not going to be happy with everything, but we got to win, and that'll be enough. And when we come back, not only do we talk about the offense, we talk about the defense. Finally, they're coming through. But one thing, I'm going to be very truthful with you, and I'm going to end this segment saying this. I'm not going to play game and say they're where they need to be. That defensive backfield going to have to tighten this game up. They act like sometimes they can cover a bed with a blanket, and they better than that. Now, that defensive line, you're starting to get those players up there. As I said, defensive line are the players that they're not trying to be spectacular. They're trying to be consistent. And now you're brought in the linebackers, and I'm going to tell you what, bring a vet in like we got. Bring in some young players like we got. That linebacker crew, and I want you guys to mark this day that I said, by the end of the year without injury, they may be the key factor on that defense. Oh, with that being said, we're going to have to take a break here because I know Donna biting at the bit, talking about it, I'm wrong.
No, I'm not.
Come back. We'll talk a little bit about the defense. Hold them, y'all. We'll be back in a moment.
People don't know the real story of what happened.
It was an unbelievable series of events and an unbelievable time.
Their championship was taken away from them in 1969. We are living in their championship now.
50-some years later, good is coming from it. They are impacting state after state after state after state.
And we're going to show the world how to love.
Man, some asinine stuff is said when we off film. Donna Hopkins still trying to make it where the defense wasn't the reason, or I'm wrong, or I'm that. Did you ever had a person just can't take a whooping? I knew that time when I put 50 on there in the game. Oh, I don't want to talk about that. But
hey, that would never happen, Tony. You putting 50.
I didn't say 51. See that?
That would be a miracle. But let me talk about the defense that really stepped up to play the last 2 weeks, even more so. Johnny Newton, who has come in place of John Allen, who was out for the season, has really stepped up. Coach Quinn talked about this guy was the one that really shined on that on Sunday against Chicago because he plugged the middle. I mean, this defense has allowed 22 points in the last 2 games, and they're just playing lights out. He talked about Bobby Wagner too, as far as what he did on that field too, making sure that the defense was moving. Almost like a coach on the field. He called Bobby Wagner. He said it was his best game of the season so far, but just the defense is clicking. I know, Tony, you talked about the secondary, but the secondary did a good job for the most part. Yes, they still need to get better, but they can, and Brian probably can chime in right here, is that the secondary can only be as good as the pressure up front to help them right now, Tony, because it was.
Wait a minute, Donna. Wait.
Help me out, Brian.
You're going to tell me
Tony, I agree with Donna here. Okay.
Brian.
People want to talk about the secondary all the time. If you don't get pass rush, the secondary can't be good. You can't cover for 5 minutes, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 8 seconds. But when you get pressure, like Johnny Newton yesterday was all up on him.
Yeah.
He was there quickly. Farrell was there quickly. They were doing things to get into the face of Caleb Williams. And now your secondary can be okay. Now, there are some stuff that needs to be corrected in the secondary. But ultimately, pressure makes everything happen on the back end. My saying is the offensive line, defensive line, that's your engine, your transmission. If that's working, you can do whatever you want to do. If that's not working, it's not gonna be good. So you got to make sure O-line, D-line is great. And if they keep playing like they're playing like they did yesterday, we got something special to be looking forward to as this year goes closer.
Can we start the engines, Tony?
Well, Coach, that was a good way, and I like the way that, like you said, they need the pressure in defense. But it's one thing that we're coming about. You need the next man up, and you need to play together, and it's going to happen for you. But you don't need to get ahead of yourself for the simple reason we're happy all this is going on. But now each and every week becomes even more important for the simple aspect. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We just don't know what's waiting down there with us. And one thing about it, the way they're going right now, they will be ready for whatever it is. But at the same time, they must continue to improve. And Solomon, you tell me what you saw, the improvement on that defense, and tell me about what you saw with the linebackers.
The biggest thing I saw was like B. Mitch was saying, we getting good pressure at the middle from the guys I call them Fig Newton. And then I feel like the schemes is actually putting us in good positions. I got to give the defensive coordinator props. He's putting them in good positions. Like yesterday, I don't know if you know number 96, Jalen Holmes got a sack. And they're plugging certain people in, and everybody's getting, as they call it, everybody's getting to eat every week. The linebackers played phenomenal yesterday. I watched Bobby Wagner fill up holes, and he was actually meeting the running backs in the hole. And Frankie was flying around like he always does, like a madman. So I'm just actually seeing this defense on the up and up, and I'm actually seeing them starting to play together like it's getting scary.
And I tell you what, that is the only way it's going to happen as you look at it. So when you was in the locker room, Donna, what kind of feeling did this defense have? Did they feel like they've improved enough, or they're only part of the way there? And I ask that question because that means a lot. One thing about it, no matter what position you play in professional football or whatever you do in life, you play it to be the best and do the best. And you can't get satisfied. So what was your feeling? How are they feeling about themselves right now?
Yeah, Tony, I think the defense, as they told me, is that they still have to improve on some areas. But let's go to the locker room to hear what they have to say. You don't have to take my word for it, Tony, because you never do. So
you're always wrong. Get it right sometime.
Hey, Frankie, talk to me about this win today, just the way this team fought back and took it.
Man, we fought all the way. I said a lot about our team, man. We just stuck with each other. And Jaden, did what he always does and make something happen for all of us. So, we just got to keep stacking off for this one.
Talk about the play of this defense all games long. You all were able to contain Caleb for most of this game. The defensive front did their part. Talk about the defense.
We knew, just keep it a phone booth for him, make him scramble around. He likes to lose ground a lot, make him, get out the pocket and throw it out. So we kind of got to our game plan and, and executed while we can. So, we did our thing, but, they still scored at the end, and, that's not acceptable for us on defense.
Jaden Daniels comes back, not for sure if he was going to play, but he played, and just what he was able to do in pulling this team out and helping them to get this win.
Oh, man, it just says a lot about a kid. He's just a competitor. All week he was getting his body right, and for times like this, man, to 12 seconds or however left that was on the clock, but it says a lot about him, man, and it speaks volume, man, and all the guys in his locker room respect that.
We just stayed. We kept our composure. We try to do our best to limit them. That's a good team over there, and it's just a fun game to be a part of. We've just been trying to get better every game. I feel like we keep growing, and still obviously we got a couple plays we want to get back, but whenever you hold a good team like that to whatever 12 points or however many points they had, that's a good day.
I think, everything's starting to click together, and really that's what it's about, just all sides of the ball working together, you know what I'm saying? Special teams playing well, offense playing well, defense playing well, just complimentary football. And it just allows team success. You know, even though we won the game, we still want to go back and clean up the little things that we made mistakes on. I'm gonna give all the credit right there to the D-line. They came out today, they played their tails off. They were getting back there, you know what I'm saying? They were giving him pressure all game, you know, forcing him to make a few bad throws. We got sacks. Like, the D-line really showed up today. They showed out, and you know, when you have the opportunity to go against a quarterback like that, that's exactly what you want to do. So huge, you know, shout out to those guys up front.
What do you say about this game?
It was all about, you know, creating energy from the plays and feeding off each other, honestly, because we knew that it wasn't going to be just like come down to like one play for one player. We knew that from the first quarter all the way to the fourth quarter, every time somebody made a play, other people had to be around to make sure that, you know, the tackle was made, or the ball, if the ball was tipped, we could intercept it. Like, you saw all 11 of us around the ball. Like, you know, that's how we created energy. What was it? EGB, energy generated ball. That's our mantra, you know. We got shirts for it, so everybody trying to be around the ball and make plays, and that's how we do it.
Talk to me a little bit about the offense. Coming up, Hail Mary, 2 seconds to go, and Noah Brown ends up with the ball. As you're standing on the sideline watching that, what's going through your mind?
I mean, obviously, it's a roller coaster emotion. Tough play on the fourth down for me. But, you know, it's never over, as they say. So I kept looking up. I'm like, okay, Jalen got some time. I'm like, oh, he rolling to the right, rolling to the left. I'm like, okay, he's going to have time to get the ball up. And then I'm like, okay, the ball's going to reach the end zone. Then they get tipped and it catches it. I kind of have flashback from, like, previous years because we've been on the other side of it, you know, like not going our way. And then it finally went our way, you know. Ball don't lie, you know. They called the penalty and they scored. And, you know, the football guys were like, you know what? Let's give him one more chance, and then we got it. We capitalized on it.
Hey, Tony, the football gods gave them another chance. But listen at this, Tony. The Bears took 3 quarters to get to 100 yards. In the first half, this defense of the Commanders held Caleb Williams 3 of 8 for 33 yards. So defense was stacking it up.
Well, you know, I just look at this team, and these are the 2 teams. The Chicago Bears drafted me 3rd round. Out of Bishop College, and then I ended my career with Washington. And at the same time, the one thing that struck me looking at this game on Sunday was these organizations haven't changed that much. Washington has always been progressive, trying to get to the win, and Chicago has always been just opening on. And I still see that, even though they got good players, they got everything. Just something about that Chicago franchise. And I've lived there. My wife is from there. They had one good year. It just seemed like they can't get together. But that's the one thing I like about Washington: rejuvenation. Every now and then, every 2 or 3 years, you got a new group of individuals trying to reach that Super Bowl. And that's what's so important about this whole thing. But we can't start talking Super Bowl right now for the simple aspect, too many games now. And that means we had to test Donna's knowledge. And that's not right to do that to her.
That would be good.
So when we come back, we'll talk a little special teams.
Next! People don't know the real story of what happened.
It was an unbelievable series of events and an unbelievable time.
Their championship was taken away from them in 1969. We are living in their championship now.
50-some years later, good is coming from it. They are impacting state after state after state after state.
And we're going to show the world how to love.
Well, you know what? It's always a pleasure to speak about the team, but each time we try to talk about each facet of the team. We've talked offense. We know that the offense is getting better. They're running the ball, starting to look like that offense back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, when they were cutting it up. Defense, making their presence felt. But you know one thing you do see with this team? You may not hear a lot about the special teams, but you don't hear a lot bad about them either. And they're doing their job, and they're going to be the ones to break us off. And I mean, no better than B. Mitch. You know how important special teams are to us.
Well, I definitely know that. And I'll tell you this. Listen, you don't hear a lot negative about this team because they have a coach in Larry Izzo who's doing an unbelievable job. They believe in making field goals. Tress Way is unbelievable with the punts. They have great returns. Austin Eckler is doing a great job. Look at the guy 7 years in the league who's become a star, who still say, let me return the kicks. I can be more effective than somebody else. Those guys are doing an unbelievable job, and I think ultimately, if they continue on this track, everyone always talk about offense, defense. You don't have a good special team, you're not winning a Super Bowl. And if that's what we want to do, we better make sure they keep going. I believe they will.
True that. And I tell you what it is. And Donna, you know, when you're out there this time of year, nobody with an incomplete team go that far anyway.
No, Tony, not at all. And the Commanders have a game coming up in New York this coming week. And we know that the first time around, it was all field goals, and the Commanders came away with that win. If one, the Giants had opportunities. But when you look at the Giants this time around, and I'm going to hit you up, Solomon, and everybody, I want you to all jump in. When you look at the Giants this time around, and they've been struggling still, but the Commanders always seem to have problems with them. How do you see this playing out up in their house? Because they've got a running game and they seem to create problems for this team. But this Commanders team is much different than what they were the first time around, too. Solomon, talk to me about facing the Giants for the second time up in the Meadowlands.
Well, first of all, the Giants have to play and get over Pittsburgh tonight.
Thank you.
So that's going to play a lot into it, right, B-Mitch? So that's going to play a lot into it because we're going to hopefully get a Giant team that's nicked up and knacked up after playing against Pittsburgh and T.J. Watt and company tonight. And I feel like, just like they say, you need a little bit of skill, but you need a little bit of luck. So it just so happens that the Giants are playing tonight, and then they got to play again on Sunday. So hopefully we get well during the week and heal up, and we can take it to them. And no, we got to do better than field goals this time. I think we can, but I feel like our offense is together now. So I feel like we're going to put some pretty good points up. But the biggest thing is the Giants play tonight, and then they got to turn around again. And all these football players on the screen know about turning around, playing back-to-back games from a Monday to a Sunday.
Hey, Alex, Daniel Jones seems to be the person who always causes problems for this Commanders team. They've controlled basically quarterbacks the last few weeks. How do you see this playing out as far as what they can do against Daniel Jones this time around?
Yeah, somehow he's one of these dudes that doesn't play very well against everybody else. And then when they go against Washington, they're pretty effective. That first game against the Giants, it's crazy how far this team has come, Washington, since that in the last month and a half to 2 months. Washington goes and loses at Tampa in the opener. No shame in that. They come home. If the Giants kicker doesn't get hurt on the first kick of the game and then can't kick the rest of the game, there's about a 95% chance the Giants win that game. We saw that game. They couldn't kick. They left a bunch of points out there because they had no kicker. This team would have been 0-2 going to Cincy. Instead, they beat the Giants. They sort of shocked the world, which now doesn't seem as shocking when they beat Cincinnati. And then here we are. About the Giants. Divisional games are a whole different animal. Tony knows it. Brian knows it. Gary knows it. They played in these things. Baltimore went and lost to Cleveland. Okay, how does that happen? That happens when division teams play each other. Giants will be fired up regardless of what happened Monday against Pittsburgh. Washington's a division opponent. Giants will have them at their place. Giants should have won the game the first time if they had a kicker. So Washington and Washington fans should not be at all thinking, well, we got this because it's a division game. Daniel Jones will probably play out of his mind because that happens sometimes against this team, and we'll see what happens.
Hey, Brian, has the Giants got better since this Commanders team faced them the first time around?
Make sure that they know that they haven't gotten better. Listen, I've been through this situation where you go to a team that has a great time against you. Eventually, you get players in the room who do not want to keep living on what the history was. I believe right now with Jaden Daniels leading and a lot of these young guys on defense and the special teams being great, they're sick and tired of people saying, well, the Giants always play us tight. What's wrong with us sweeping somebody else? You know what I'm saying? You know, I believe in the broom thing. Bring the broom out. Let's sweep some people. And I believe this is about that time. This is the year where we get tired of being like, oh, the Giants always play good against us. To hell with that. Daniel Jones is an average quarterback. Let's make sure he plays like that on Sunday.
Hey, Gary, you look at this Commanders team overall, as far as all phases, and they're saying that special teams are really solid this year. But when you look at all three phases of this team, this Commanders team going up against the Giants, what impresses you the most about this Commanders team facing the Giants?
Well, I think, you got momentum. I'm a big fan of momentum, playing well. They kind of know they got a gift after the last game, but you create your own gifts, by the way, too. They created their own gifts, so they deserved to win that football game. But I think they got momentum playing for them. And once all three segments play together as one, that's when we truly go to see the Washington team that we know that we have, because obviously this team is the best team they've had in a lot of years and are proving it each week, week in and week out. This is the first week that the offense really didn't show up. It's the first time they really didn't show up. I know you guys have been praising them a little bit, but they didn't really show up. But they typically do. So when all facets show up, there's no telling what we can do. I'm just happy that they kept my streak alive. When I talk to the team or I talk to the crowd before the game, I'm undefeated.
Oh, now you want to throw that all in.
I'm just saying, I'm undefeated.
I think I saw Dexter Manley waving the flag and everything. But as you can see, Tony didn't have nothing to say about the Giants because he knew nothing to say. So I had to knock him out because he had nothing to say. So we're going to go to a break to see, can I bring him back from being in the corner on bad behavior.
Come back, Pops. Come back, Pops.
Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Speakers Bureau offers you various opportunities to connect with former and current players along with Tony and the crew. For more information, go to redmagplus.com Speakers Bureau.
Well, it's that time of the show again when I get to bring Ricky Irvins on to get you all in shape, all of you all, because the holidays is coming up. And Ricky this week is working on our abs. So, Ricky, show these guys how to really work out your abs and get that six-pack.
The goal is to be starting right here. Instead of going all the way down like that, you're going to step here and go up and touch the elbows without going down. So it's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's the goal. So he might start off like this and go real hard and then come back down. We're going to work it and we tell him to go back down and go all the way up. Up. From here, up, right there. Right there. Right there. Hold. There you go. It's all right. All right. Now go back. Go regular. Ones. Down and up. Down and up. Take your legs all the way down and up. Up to here. Back there. Up. Keep it straight. Up. Down. Slow. Up. Down. Slow. Relax. Up. Keep your legs straight now. Yes.
People don't know the real story of what happened.
It was an unbelievable series of events and an unbelievable time.
Their championship was taken away from them in 1969. We are living in their championship now.
50-some years later, good is coming from it. They are impacting state after state after state after state.
And we're going to show the world how to love.
Well, as you can see, it's 4 of us left. It was 6 of us starting, but it's 4 of us left. So I think Dad must have kidnapped B. Mitch and took him with him. So I guess we're just gonna finish it out for the big guys. So Don, I'm gonna pass it to you so we can go around the league.
And you know what? I can't help that Tony was mad because I talked a little bit about his defense and talked a little bit about other things. And you know how salty he gets. But you know what? We're going around the league, and we're going to start with the Baltimore Ravens. Gary, come on. I cannot believe that the Baltimore Ravens got beat by Cleveland, but Cleveland ends up getting a new quarterback in Jameis Winston and end up beating the Ravens 24-29. They beat them at the end. Were you shocked by that? And no Derrick Henry. That's the surprising thing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect that for sure. The Ravens had played so well, the weeks before. So, and Ravens is supposed to be one of those teams in contention to go to the Super Bowl as well, if people have been saying, all the critics have been saying. But I didn't expect that, but they came out and they played well. And what you can never, what's hard to understand sometimes is when a player goes down and the next player comes up, that player plays spectacular. And a lot of times people don't look at things that way, but that's how every team should be built. When your starter goes down, the next guy in should be just as good or better than the person that was playing before him. So that's what happened with Cleveland. A person went down, and next guy came in and played better. And the team won the football game.
Well, look who's back. Can you believe that?
You know what? Just because I told you called a technician all the way from up there just to mess with me because I told the truth. And we're going to have a little vote on you when we get done with this show. Ladies and gentlemen,
don't be mad. You kicked Brian Mitchell out.
Yeah, I thought you had kidnapped Brian and took him with you. I was like, dang, where's Brian at?
I knew G was cool with it. That's all right. Y'all got me off, but I'm back now.
Hey, Tony, I'm glad that you got out of the corner for being in bad behavior. But, Tony, we were talking about the Ravens getting beat up by the Cleveland Browns, who got Jameis Winston. But, they got beat this week, but they've got a big game going up against the Broncos this coming week. How do you see the Ravens bouncing back this week from after taking that L last week? And they really didn't use Derrick Henry that much last week.
They didn't use him much in the same aspect that they're still getting used to each other. They're making a lot of little mistakes that's costing them games. I still think they're one of the two best teams in the league. I think they'll do fine. I know that Denver and the different teams are coming on now, but this Ravens team is for real. They just have to learn to play together. Now, what the coordinator is doing by not playing the best running back in the game, I don't know. But at the same time, we can't worry about that. They just have to synchronize their parts, get to playing. But the one thing that's surprising, and anybody can chime on this if you want, their defense is not playing the way I thought they should. That's the one thing that's kind of holding them back. But at the same time, you're still looking at the potential champion with the Raiders. They will win.
Hey, Tony, that division is great because Pittsburgh plays on Monday night. The Ravens right now is 5-3. Pittsburgh, I think, is one game ahead. So it's a big game against, this on Monday night for Pittsburgh to try to pull that out. But Solomon, coming to you, the Vikings started off undefeated. They were smoking. Them and Kansas City were the only two teams that were undefeated. But now the Vikings have lost 2 straight games. And they lost to the Rams, who were tripping over their own feet. They lost 20-30. How do you see this Vikings team moving forward right now?
I mean, I feel like they started out extremely fast, but now this is the part of the season when the Vikings normally slow down. I know they got a pretty good quarterback, but I'm still not sold on that. I don't see them. They haven't really got the wide receiver Jefferson's into the game yet. And I just don't know about their running game. So we already know I can't see them getting past the Lions in that division. So I feel like they gave us a good start, but they are the Vikings who we thought they were going to be.
Well, the thing about it is they play the Colts this week, but let's swing on over to the NFC East and talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, who at first was having a hard time. But Alex, they're at 5-2. Have they turned the corner right now, or is it still some troubled waters up in Philadelphia?
I don't know that they've totally turned the corner, Donna. They obviously had this tough start to the season. Hope seems to sort of make headlines, and there seems to be sort of a bizarre-ish kind of karma around that squad. Listen, they had some of their best playmakers, wide receivers, out for a few games. So But either way, they are now 5-2, neck and neck with Washington. In like 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, it's Washington at Philly on Thursday night. That'll be a telltale sign, I think, for both teams. I think Washington is like, okay, let's see what we can do against sort of the class of the NFCs, because I think all of us agree that the Giants are not that, and the Cowboys are not that. And for the Eagles, that'll be interesting as well. But yeah, Eagles won at Cincy, and when Washington did that a month ago, it was like seemed like a huge upset. Cincy hasn't done anything yet, and it now seems maybe they're just not that great, even with Joe Burrow and those receivers, although T. Higgins didn't play against Philly. Philly's okay. They're okay. They're not what they were a year ago when they were the best team in football until the wheels kind of fell off the last month of the season, but they're still them. And they're probably still, to a lot of folks, the best team in the NFC East until the Commanders kind of show that they can be that. We'll see. Eagles are better, though. Three weeks ago, they didn't look like much of a factor. They're a factor now.
And they got a thousand yard running back, too. One that can break it off anytime. And if you'll notice one thing, as the quarterback gets better, as he gets healed, the team is better.
Well, that's the reason why, Tony, this game against the Giants is big for the Commanders, because they played the Eagles on that Thursday night. But, Tony, let's stay right here in the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys seem not to be able to get it together, even after a bye week. They go up and lose to the 49ers, and they're just dropping down. Are they in a downward spiral, or what's happening there with these Cowboys right now, Tony?
Stick a fork in them, they done. Matter of fact, they well done. And I'll tell you, they wasn't nothing but an aberration anyway. As I told you last week, you got a defensive end that only weighs 225. You're going to be in trouble later on in the year, and that's what's happening to them. People have to find out what they can do. Now, I hope they do not blame it all on Dak, because Dak is doing as much as he can. But they just don't have it. Here you got to go back and get a running back that you gave up on 3 years ago, and that's your running game. They did not plan well. I'm the kind of guy that feel like they gave this coach a lot of chances, but they may have fired the wrong coach last year. They may be back what they threw for this year. So, Donna, you want to get your tamarines out and root for them? That goes right along with people that don't score over 5 points a game in basketball. Oh, that's not true.
I never root for the Cowboys no matter what, Tony. So I wash your mouth out with soap. But, Gary, Kansas City is the only team in the NFL that's undefeated at 7-0. And everybody was saying the Chiefs are going to have a downfall because Patrick Mahomes, numbers are down, but he's still orchestrating that offense. And they get Hopkins, the wide receiver, another weapon there that they desperately needed. Is any holes in the Chiefs' armor right now? What's your thoughts on them? Because as you always said about Tom Brady, you can never count them out. But now we're saying that with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick is Patrick. There's no holes in their offense. There's no holes in their defense. I mean, at the end of the day, I pick Kansas City. I've been picking Kansas City for the last 3 years. I pick them to win every week. So, I mean, they just proved me right. I mean, it's just a great organization. It's a great team. You got great leadership. Like, they're a team that everybody's aspiring to become.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tony, I want to get all of you all, because Kansas City is the only undefeated team right now. How do you see them now that they've got Hopkins? I'm going to go with you, Solomon, and then I'm jumping back to you, Tony, because we're talking about the only undefeated team, and that's hard to do. We're almost at the halfway point of the season. Is this Chiefs team that's going to be jarred with the Ravens, who tripped up a little bit also, now with Hopkins? Are they back in the conversation? They were never out of my conversation.
It's a young man that was honored this weekend as a legend, and he used to have a saying called, he's never going to bet against Brady. Well, I'm going to use that young man saying and say, I'm never betting against Mahomes. Every time you look up, he pulls something out. He turns another play. He's actually like LeBron James right now. He's turning the players around him way better. They're playing at levels they've never played at because of him. So I'm not going against him. And I'm going to take it from the wise guy that got honored this weekend, Mr. 84. I'm not betting against Mahomes.
Hey, Tony, the Buffalo Bills, I want to switch off the Kansas City Chiefs right now, because Buffalo had a little stumble at one point, but they seem to have turned the pages a little bit. Is this Bills team back in the conversation? They're 6-2 right now. They just beat up on Seattle 31-10. How do you see the Bills right now?
Brought another playmaker in, they're getting well, and it's starting to become wintertime. And people would say, what do you mean wintertime? People got to go up to Buffalo and play the next month or so. Any given night, it may be 20 below. So I tell you what, they got 3 or 4 things going to them. As I said, they brought in some good talent. They always had a good game plan, but the winter may be the biggest part of them heading towards the championship.
Hey, Alex, big game coming up this week between the Lions at the Packers. Both teams, the Detroit Lions is that team that's in the conversation too. That's the team to beat because they lose one of their top defensive players in Hutchinson, and they didn't miss a beat. How do you see that game playing out? The Packers quarterback Love may be out because he sustained a little injury this coming week. But how do you see this game coming out? Because this is going to be one of those solid games that everybody's going to want to see too, up in Lambeau Field.
NFC North, every team in that division is pretty darn good. The Vikings have taken a stumble. I think the Lions are really good. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson, you don't just move forward as if that guy didn't have a heck of an impact on your football squad. But that coach, who everybody seemed to sort of snicker at 3 or 4 years ago when he first took the job, and he was talking about biting people's kneecaps and all that kind of stuff, that sort of coach speak times 100. But this dude has got that football team playing. Offense, Jared Goff, kind of forgotten about out in LA, comes there and he's the lights out. Defense is great. They can run it. They can throw it. The offensive coordinator, hot shot, going to be a head coach at some point. This dude can call plays. The fact that it's at Lambeau, I think, obviously helps Green Bay. I still like Detroit because I think, pound for pound, right now, the 2 best teams in the NFC are Detroit and the Washington Commanders. Like, hello, I think Detroit only because the defense is a little more physical. Goff has been there, done that. Lambeau will be tough, but I'm going Detroit.
Hey, Tony, I'm going to let all of y'all have the last word because this is probably going to be the big game of this week as far as the Lions and the Packers. Solomon, how do you see that playing out?
I got to go with that 3-1-3. What up, though, Detroit? Let's go, Lions.
What about you, Gary?
Man, you got to go to Green Bay. Green Bay's a whole nother animal by itself. And if the weather's off, good luck to that. I'm going with the Pack.
I went with the Lions, and I'm going to let Tony have the last word. Tony, who wins this one?
What about Alex? He don't get to say anything?
Alex was already giving us the lowdown on there. So Alex, who do you like? Who do you like, Alex?
I'm from the creek they call Battle, and we don't miss a game. So all you know, with Michigan boys, we'll get it done. I'm going to tell you what, and it's not even going to be close.
In the Minute with Tony and Donna. You can catch them weekly on their podcast, and you could also subscribe to their YouTube channel, In the Minute.
One more thing.
Well, you know what? It's our next favorite time, and the other crew does not want to talk about this because yours truly is leading the picks. You can see right there on the screen who's winning. But big games coming up. We talked a little bit about those. The Lions at the Packers, Rams at Seattle, Colts at the Vikings, Cowboys at the Falcons, and the Broncos at the Ravens. But Tony, our picks, I'm dominating right now, but it's early. And as the commander said, it's not over until it's over. But the Sports Bar Challenge, we were talking about our picks. They're heating up, Tony, because it's getting close. It's getting close. Leading is the Glory Days at 6-1. But guess what? No panic from Crystal City Sports Pub and Crystal City Restaurant because they're at 5-2 tied.
Oh, Billy Bang, they banging it.
Hey, they bumping, Tony. And then
all those places got great food. Y'all gonna have to go out and check it out. So they're 1, 2, 3, huh?
I wish I could have went out today, but we had to do this show. But Kellogg's is right behind, and then Still Familiar got into the game, but they're neck and neck, Tony. So if you want great food, you want entertainment to take your families, have a good time. Kellogg's, you know how they just cereal, snacks and all of those things. Yeah, they feed the world. And right now, Tony, we're feeding the world because I'm putting it back into your lap, Tony, because don't cry about me leading right now. And Alex, he ain't even in the conversation of the picks.
I won last year. I won the whole thing last year.
Donna, you know what the monkey said when his tail got caught in the fan? It won't be long, and you won't be leading. All of you, vote. That's all you need to do. And if you don't vote, it's a joke. And don't tell me what you need to do. Vote. And when we come back here next week, Donna won't be in the league. So y'all have a good week. And when we come back, we'll be in first place again. We never say goodbye. We say, in a minute.
People don't know the real story of what happened.
It was an unbelievable series of events and an unbelievable time.
Their championship was taken away from them in 1969. We are living in their championship now.
50 some years later, good is coming from it. They are impacting state after state after state after state.
And we're going to show the world how to love.